This session is about value stream management. So there are a number of slides, kind of introduction, the concept, a few slides on what's going on in the market space, which kind of leads to a logical next step being value stream management. Now, I won't go through all of these in detail because I think it's pretty known to most of you, and we can save some time there. At the end of my slides, I'm going to switch to the Clarity Rally product set to show you what value stream management could look like within the solution. So you got a bit of an idea, like what are we talking about when you deploy it in Clarity. Now it's conceptual, right? So this is something you might want to implement and start in small steps. It's not something you do on a Friday afternoon and you're kind of done. Right? It takes time. It comes with organizational change, which is usually the thing that slows us down. Now, adding value to value stream management. If my clicker would work, I could explain that to you, but it doesn't anymore. So let me push the button. I think, Ben, did you change something in your last setup that deactivated the clicker? Yeah, it's on. Yeah, I think it does work now. Yeah. Oh, okay. So the digital transformation, I mean, this is like business as usual these days, right? We're all changing. We all want to digitize as much as possible. We try some very beautiful old things into something hyper-modern, all digitalized. It's going to the numbers. I don't think need any explanation. A lot of funds go to this type of activity, and a lot of things still fail. And there are multiple reasons. If you look at the culture aspect there, that's very often when it gets to traditional ways of working and agile ways of working. It's a different cultural thing, right? So a lot of things going on. If you want to succeed in becoming a digital business, and this is from the Gartner Strategic Portfolio Management report last year, they indicate 4 imperatives to make that work. First thing, customer centricity is key. Always surprising being a customer that now suddenly this has become key. Because I felt like the customer, I was always key. But apparently things have changed. So we used to do operational annual customer surveys, inner strength. I don't need to explain all the boxes here. We have to move to something like customer value. Like, what is it our customer wants? We need that feedback very often, and we don't develop inside out, but we develop like outside in. So that's what we do with Clarity too, right? We get your feedback as much as possible because we want to develop what adds value to you. So customer centricity is key, especially in a digital era. Second thing, you need to be switching to product management, because that's what your customer buys. That's where the value is. That's what makes the communication between planning and execution much easier. So it's about a product. It's no longer about tasks in a project. It's about the business outcomes that your products can deliver to your organization. And it's about aligned value and not so much about this siloed isolation of delivering things within the organization. So very important there. And the technology portfolio must be digital business enabling. So in the old days, IT is seen as supportive, right? It needs to support our business. It doesn't need to enable new business, but that's really what it's supposed to do now. You should pick the technology that enables you to run your business and that unlocks value in the way you do business. So it should open up new channels to your customers. It should enable more digital activities within your market space. It's a different type of technology. If you look at it from a PPM perspective, you know, where project and portfolio management come in, you should probably look at technology that allows you to support those new ways of working and to support and enable a full agile operating model within your organization, because that's probably what the future will look like. So if you pick one, make sure it's ready for the future from that perspective. And lastly, your business and operating model might have to change to be successful in the digital era. So what did I do with this? That we got to go away from the silo construct, where every department or unit within a company acts within their own little ecosystem, do a lot of good things, but they don't connect to the others. And we all experience that in our day-to-day life. If you buy something and you call the support desk of the company, I mean, these are usually already disconnected, right? They don't know what they have told to the consumer because their systems are not connected, and you end up in a lot of messy communication on very simple things with providers of a service or a product to you. So it is important to get away from the silo, and that's what you can do with a value stream. Instead of deciding once, twice, 3 times a year what we're going to do, it has to be like a continuous decision model. Right? Continuously, markets are changing, competition are changing, consumer behaviors are changing, new parties enter the market space, and you got to be so damn quick if you're delivering products in the digital market. So the business model has to change, and we have to focus on strategy instead of operational models there. So there's a lot of things going on. I think most of them are known. Not all of them are so easy to execute on. But what this all leads to is something like value stream management. Why do you need value stream management? Because value streams put the customer at the center, right? Value streams are about digital products that you deliver to your customer and that add value to your customer. And guess what? Those are things that Gartner says are extremely important to be successful in the future. So if customer centricity and digital product management are going to be core values within your organization, then the logical next step would be value stream management. Now, what is a value stream? This is often kind of a nice discussion topic within an organization, but very simply put, it begins and ends with the customer. So it begins with taking in a request from a customer, looking at all the activities within your organization to fulfill the request, and eventually delivering something that adds value to the customer. And everything in between, in all your different silos, from marketing, sales, support, development, everything in there should be aligned to that same customer value instead of acting as a silo. Right? It's especially important when you look at agile methodologies, because those are already focused on continuous improvement, short feedback loops from your customer. And as we are all moving into agile methodologies, value streams come very close. So just one quick question. Who in the audience, which organization already recognizes the value stream and manages this as, let's say, a new unit within the organization? Good. All right. So it's pretty new, right? There's a lot of talk going on, a lot of organizations looking at it, but it's the organizational change that makes it kind of complicated. So there are a few more slides on the value stream. So we actually, and this is from Scaled Agile Framework, SAFe. Not everybody adopts SAFe, but in principle the concepts are pretty much the same. So we're not enforcing SAFe at any means, but we do see that it's one of the most adopted frameworks, so we'd like to take their kind of definitions to make things understandable and define them. We have an operational value stream, which is the sequence of activities to deliver a product or a customer, or a product or a service to a customer. And there is a development value stream, which is the sequence of activities needed to convert a business hypothesis into a digitally enabled solution. When we talk about clarity and rally, it's primarily that second type of value stream we're occupied with. Right? The operational one goes much further than that. That's literally analyzing everything within the organization from market demand to final customer value measurement. What it's not a process. It's definitely not internal focused, and it's also not a customer journey map. There's a lot of confusion about these things. Also, one thing we don't do in our solution, if you look up VSM, Value Stream Management, most of the Google returns are on value stream mapping, which is actually mapping all the elements of the value stream into some kind of a graphical picture. We do similar things. As a matter of fact, we're looking at it to integrate with VSM, with value stream mapping tools, but it's not a prime functionality that we offer within our solution. Okay, so how does that apply to digitally enabled products or services? So the top one would reflect an operational value stream. So it starts with a loan request, and then eventually there's a loan delivered to the customer with an interest repayment. Everything in between, operational value stream. If you look at the development stream for that, it's actually two. In this case, it's all for illustrative purposes, right? So there are two development value streams which are enabling the digital solutions to support this operational value stream. Right? So that's more into the development area of the company. They're developing something to support the operational value stream. If you look at an airline, we asked an airline, like, okay, so what is a product for you? And they said, our check-in service is a very, very important product. Right? Because the easier and more intuitive you make this, the more likely customers will choose you. And it's true. If I book flights, I like the one that has the app that enables me to do most of the things very simple, very easily in my app. Right? So I can check my seat, I can upgrade, I can do the payment, I can do luggage, I can do everything within the app, which is adding a lot of value to me. Right? So that's an operational value stream for the airline. So this is just an example of how different they can be. And they differ by any industry. So you can probably define your own in your industry. If you look at the development value streams, those are typically pretty generic. Right? It's about a software development process. We do certain things to develop the solution that offers that check-in service for the airline, or that offers a financial service for a bank. Like in the app, like, okay, I can do my payments, I can look at my accounts. Guess what? In my app, I can also look at my insurances, and I can even look up the status of my mortgages with that bank. And if I want to change a mortgage interest rate or request a mortgage interest rate, I can even do that in my app. Right? So that's all enabled by the development value stream under the operational value stream of offering me that service as a customer. So what are the benefits of it? If you think about product instead of project, right? If you look at the value stream and we're delivering a certain product, it becomes much more easier to have dedicated teams working on the value stream, working on the product. This is what you deliver. Opposed to the old-time project where people switched roles and switched projects every time the project was done, they now stick with the product. They know exactly what's going on in that. They're aware of the evolution. They become like one with the product, right? Which is always good for developing it. It identifies and visualizes all the work and all the bottlenecks along the value stream. So it supports smaller batch sizes of work, which is all in the agile way of working, right? Make it small, make it flow through your system instead of something really big, which causes all kind of complications and delay. Enables knowledge growth, more continuous learning on what you're doing. Things that we see in the market, it helps simplifying funding models, and it also helps take out silos, because people are forced to think slightly different. They are forced to communicate with people from the other silos we had, because it's about the same product that they're delivering to the market. Let's think about the simplified funding. Right? Nowadays, we fund projects. Right? There's a lot of governance with it. You need to put a budget plan together. You need to get an approval. As soon as there's a change request that comes in with financials, you have to go the whole shebang. You need to request a change in the budget. It needs approval. We all know how that works. Cumbersome and long. If you look at value streams and you fund a value stream instead of a project, what you're actually funding is the teams that are assigned to the value stream. So if you got 10 teams that cost X amount a month, and you do that times 12, that's your budget for the year. So you got one funding approval process for the entire value stream. Everything you do within the value stream, you no longer need to bother about the money. The only thing you need to bother about is priority of the functionality you're going to develop. Which epics add most value to my customer? That's the only decision criteria I have. I don't need to think about money anymore, because it's funded, right? The value stream is funded at the beginning of the year. All they have to do is decide what are we going to work on. We have one customer, and this is a financial institute that went from funding like 900 projects to just 10 value streams. So imagine the efficiency gain they had in all their discussions on budget approval, budget changes, and all that. They kind of simplified it by almost 100 times. because they give a fund to a value stream. The rest, they don't care about. Just sort out what you're going to work on, which should be the element that adds value. And it's not, as I said, it may be new, but if you look at SAFe, it's definitely a concept in there. If you look at disciplined Agile, which is more like traditional ways of working in support there, they talk about value streams too. It's mentioned everywhere. So the concept is these days pretty common. It's not that exotic anymore. So that was the value stream. So now what's value stream management? Right? So we defined the value stream. We got some benefits there. But that's kind of a discussion. There is a value stream management consortium, which is an independent body that has a lot of companies and organizations joining. They talk about things like this, and I think the definition of value stream management is still some kind of fluid there. It can be a lot of things, right? It can be lean business practice on how to do things. It can be a strategy to make sure that we maximize value to our customers by managing everything within the value stream. It's a methodology for improving velocity and the flow of work while reducing waste in our development process. So there are multiple definitions of the value stream, but if you look at the analysts, this is how they would describe value stream management, right? So it's a combination of people, process, and technology that maps, optimizes, visualizes, and governs business value flow through heterogeneous enterprise software delivery pipelines. Now that's, you need to read that one 3 times to know exactly what they say, right? They try to put everything in one paragraph. Anyway, it's really, when you get more to what we do, it aligns Agile DevOps with business strategy from a value stream perspective. Simply put, value stream make complex processes visible and ready to pivot, if needed, to deliver more value to your customer. How do you translate it? Well, if something happens in the market space and suddenly 1 or 2 epics for your new digital solution are not that valuable anymore because the competition beat you there, or there's new regulation what makes them pretty much useless, you can quickly pivot because another epic that was maybe lower ranked on your portfolio Kanban would add more value. Focus of value stream management. Now, in most of the definitions that you read on the web, they focus on the black areas, which is Agile flow. Keep the flow going through our Agile development, right? Use the Kanban boards with the WIP limits. Make sure none of your stages gets overloaded because it will delay everything. So flow within Agile and eliminate waste, etc., within the DevOps area with all kind of metrics there. That's what they usually focus on. If we look at the Broadcom focus on value stream management, what we can do is add that top level paragraph, strategic portfolio planning, which is where you set your objectives, where you define the value for your market space, and where you monitor and track your process by using key results. That's what we actually mean by adding value to value stream management. Basic definition currently, very technically oriented. CA, Broadcom solution, can add that business view on it because we define value for business planning in that layer. And that's what makes it all kind of aligned, and that's how we can add the value there. So why would you need it? Well, I think based on what I just said, maximize the DevOps investments, break down the silo structure, optimize value to your customers, eliminate waste in the development channels. There are multiple obvious reasons that would make value stream management kind of an attractive thing to do. Now, why the ValueOps management from Broadcom? As I just said, we add the strategic portfolio level. We also add a very strong financial layer to it because the financial management in the ValueOps solution is very powerful. That's usually what is lacking on the Agile and DevOps side. Right? They are all focused on efficiency gains. They have no knowledge, they have no insight into any financial driver, which, believe it or not, most companies act on financial drivers. So they're lacking an important piece of the picture there. The methodology is agnostic to us. You can still do waterfall type projects, or you can do the Agile development. If you put them both in the same value stream perspective, it doesn't really matter. It's just about doing the right things to get that value to your customer. Rally, well, when it comes to scaled Agile at enterprise level, it's definitely a market leader there, which is part of the solution. And the solution is endorsed by SAFe. Now, again, we're not exclusively SAFe. I do want to emphasize, there's nothing there that only applies our solution to SAFe, but SAFe is leading, and they do kind of endorse the solution there. So it's two perspectives, right? So on the business side, it's all about effective execution of strategy. When you look at the technical side, the execution, it's about eliminating waste and optimizing efficiency. So those are the two main gains for both parties in this game. Few slides on what it looks like within the Clarity solution. Strategic portfolio planning, we talk about screens like this, but I'll touch on this in the demo, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. When you talk about financial management, we have numerous ways of reflecting this. When you talk about value stream management, it comes very close to lean portfolio management, where they have that different kind of funding model. And even though the value stream gets a fund assigned, they still have some guardrails, right? They still have some guidelines like, where should we focus our effort on? Is it just innovation? Is it maybe technical depth? So there's still guidelines there to what should we focus on. Like any organization has these guidelines. It's part of their strategy. Methodology agnostic, as I said, it doesn't really matter how you execute as long as you keep in mind that the goal is really to add that value. And everything we do is aligned to strategic objectives, and we define key results to monitor progress. Not all new concepts in portfolio management, but it's at a different scale. For scaling Agile, that has to do with support for aggregated Agile management. And as I said, it's endorsed by SAFe. For people who would like to hear or read more about it, there's a Bright Talk webinar by Dean Leffingwell, who's kind of the founder of SAFe, and a colleague, Laureen Knudsen, who's like transformation officer within Broadcom, that explain how ValueOps supports SAFe 5 and how ValueOps supports lean portfolio management. So for those interested, this is a session on that.